John.
On taxes, you've got two no's in the Senate so far. You've got Senator Corker, who's been a no for a while. Senator Rubio came out and told us a short time ago that he's a no unless he can get an expansion of the child tax credit. Is the president willing to be a little more generous in the child tax credit in order to get Senator Rubio's vote?
Look, we're really proud of the work that we've done already up until this point with Senator Rubio, already doubling the child tax credit, taking it to $2,000 per child. We're going to continue working with the senator, but we think we've made great strides and frankly pretty historic movement in terms of the child tax credit. We're very proud of that work. We're going to keep working with them until we get the job done, which we still expect to happen before the end of the year.
Is there more room to move?
Right now, we're going to focus on letting some of the Senate move forward in the progression of their conversations. Again, we're extremely excited about the progress that we've already made to double the child tax credit. I think that's something important to note and something that we've worked very closely with Senator Rubio on, and we think he should be very excited about the progress we've made on that front. Connie? Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you. What have you learned this past year? What changes would you make in the coming year?
What have I learned this past year? I would have to say that we would be here a really long time if I walked through everything I've learned this past year. But some of my favorite things would probably be to take time to appreciate some of the really incredible moments and the special time and opportunity and honor that certainly that I have, but I think that all of us have, that we get to come to the White House every day, serve our country, and we get to call it work. I think that's pretty impressive, pretty amazing, and something that I hope none of us ever lose sight of. Thanks, Connie. Jordan?
Thanks, Sarah. There's some reports out this morning that Speaker Ryan is considering stepping down at the end of this Congress. Has the president spoken to Speaker Ryan about those reports, and does he want to see Speaker Ryan continue in that role?
The president did speak to the speaker not too long ago and made sure that the speaker knew very clearly and in no uncertain terms that if that news was true, he was very unhappy with it. The speaker assured the president that those were not accurate reports and that they looked forward to working together for a long time to come. Blake?
So did this catch the president by surprise, the Ryan report that was out today?
It sounds like it may have caught Speaker Ryan by surprise because I don't think it was very accurate reporting. And so it sounds like they're both committed to and looking forward to spending a lot more time together over the next, hopefully 7-8 years. Kristen.
Thank you. With Omarosa leaving, how many senior staffers here at the White House are African American?
Look, we have a really diverse team across the board at the White House. We always want to continue to grow the diversity here. We're going to continue to do that and continue to work hard. I don't have a number directly in front of me, specifically not African American, but I can say, again, we have a very diverse team at the White House, certainly a very diverse team in the press office, and something that we strive for every day is to add and grow to be more diverse and more representative of the country at large, and we're going to continue to do that.
She was really tasked with reaching out to the African American community. Who have you identified who is going to take that role, and how critical is it to this president, to this administration, to make sure that that role is in fact filled?
Yeah, I think there are a number of people that will be part of that process and have been part of that process that will continue to be. This wasn't something that was a singular effort by any one individual. You have a member on the cabinet, Ben Carson, I know has been engaged and talked with the president on this issue, but it's not just within the White House. The president met with Senator Tim Scott. I know he wants to continue those conversations as well to look at the best ways to do that and to do outreach to that community.
And just to follow up on one of April's questions, what Omarosa said today was, I've seen things that have made me uncomfortable, that have upset me, that have affected me deeply and emotionally, that has affected my community and my people. Were her concerns ever addressed or dealt with?
The comments that she made, that was the first time I'd heard those. Whether she raised them with other individuals, I'm not aware. I know she regularly brought up specific issues where they were talked about in meetings, and we addressed them at the time.
Any of the issues where any of her concerns were?
I don't. That's a question that you would have to ask her, and I'm certainly not going to speak on her behalf in that regard. But I do know that it's something that we take seriously and something that we want to see improve, I think, across all fronts.
Sarah.
Trey?
Thanks, Sarah. Has the president expressed any concerns regarding the FCC's decision today to roll back these Obama-era regulations on net neutrality? And then moving forward, are there any assurances that the White House can offer to the American people who are concerned that the decision and vote today will lead to a less free internet?
As I said a few minutes ago, the administration supports the FCC's efforts, and at the same time, the White House certainly has and always will support a free and fair internet. April?
Sarah, two things. Should Roy Moore just give his concession speech now versus holding it out?
It probably sounds like it should have already taken place. Look, the president's already called and congratulated Doug Jones and expressed his willingness to work with him and to meet with him when he arrives in Washington.
And the second issue, did you watch GMA this morning, and what are your thoughts about this tell-all and the uncomfortability of Omarosa while she was here, some issues?
I did see some clips of that in terms of a tell-all. That's a question I think you would have to ask her. She resigned from her position yesterday. She'll be here later this afternoon. We put out a statement yesterday. I don't have any changes to add to that, and certainly, as has been the practice in the past and will continue to be in the future, we don't comment much further than that on personnel matters. Francesca.
Thank you, Sarah. I know that you said that you can't go much further on this personnel matter, but I do want to try to separate out some of the things that we're hearing here and just be crystal clear. So you're saying that Omarosa Manigault was not fired on Tuesday evening, that she didn't get belligerent in her conversation with General Kelly, she wasn't yelling at him, she wasn't cursing at him, and she wasn't escorted off the property. Secret Service said not by them, but she wasn't escorted off the property by someone or some entity other than Secret Service that evening.
Look, as I said, Omarosa resigned from her position. I'm not going to go into a detailed process any further than that. We've put out a statement as is standard practice. We're not going to get into the weeds of a personnel decision here at the White House.
Access to the White House complex?
Morning, Kellyanne Conway said she and other administration officials have been urging Congress to appropriate additional funding for the opioid epidemic. The president declared a public health emergency earlier this fall, but that fund only has $57,000 in it. Economists have predicted that it'll cost upwards of $190 billion over a decade to treat the crisis. Can you tell us how much money that the White House will be urging Congress to appropriate, and what do you have to say to critics who believe that the president hasn't dedicated enough resources to combating the epidemic this year?
Look, one of the reasons that the president has put one of his top people here at the White House, Kellyanne Conway, on this is because he sees this as a priority. He sees it as a major concern, not just for the White House, but certainly for America. There's a number of stories, as you just said. The amount of money that it will take to combat this crisis is huge. We're going to continue looking at the best ways to do that. We're working an interagency process to see what that number looks like. That hasn't been finalized, but we're going to continue looking at every way possible. I don't right now. That's
is it
still
around
part
$45
of
billion that was a part of the Republican healthcare plan?
Look, that's, I think, a start, but to fully address this, we want to make sure that we get it right and make sure that we really address this head on. And that's why the president has made it such a focus and put Kellyanne and others here at the White House to really make an emphasis and make that a priority.
Is that something that you guys will get done, that appropriation, by the end of this year? Can the president promise that?
I'm not aware that we can promise that a full funding for that would take place by the end of this year. This wasn't a problem that happened overnight. We're not going to be able to fix it overnight. But what we want to do is make sure that we address it and that we make it a priority for the administration. And we're going to continue doing that until we beat it. The president's spoken about this several times and making sure that we address it from all fronts and all sides. We'll take one last question for the day. Brian.
I'm going to ask a question about taxes. The Federal Reserve yesterday said that the tax bill would provide a modest lift to the economy. That's in stark contrast to words that the president has used, like rocket fuel to the economy. What is the data that the president is basing his rosier picture of the impact on the economy of the tax bill versus the experts at the Federal Reserve?
Look, there are several individuals. I would point you to Kevin Hassett, who has spoken in this room and on a number of networks that I see represented here, that has repeatedly stated that a lot of the statistics, a lot of the data shows that this will be a huge boost to the economy. It will bring companies back. It will grow our jobs, push the stock market market higher. I think that those are all places I would point back to, and certainly I think there's great support that we have seen just based on the idea that this passes, that you're seeing the stock market increase, and they think a lot of that is tied to that. So
Said the word modest was used.
I haven't asked him about that. I think upset's maybe not the right word. He might think that the other opinions that have been offered are a little more accurate. So
The Treasury analysis used
the president,
two
hold on just
things
a
on
second,
it.
because I know that the call time is here momentarily, and the president will be speaking here in a few minutes. Just want to say thanks. Have a good week. And April, I'm looking forward to having some pie with you here momentarily. Thanks, guys.